I'm Renee Knorr, model, creative director, founder of Global Women Wealth Warriors, Wellness Hub, and GW3 Magazine. I dedicated my life and devoted my career into helping women and girls to achieving their goals. I've been passionate about empowering women and enriching men. This opportunity in working with the Global Women Wealth Warriors have afforded me the pleasure of traveling outside of the country to be a support unit, most importantly, to help impact and change lives. Our ultimate purpose is to help others to become whole from finance, spiritual, mental, as well as physical. We know there are challenges and obstacles to get you to the next level. However, it's time for you to level up, boss up, and welcome to Power to Soar. And good morning, a great morning. We are now officially live, not only in the clubhouse, but right here on your house as well. Hey, Miss Tanya, how are you doing today, beautiful?
I am doing absolutely amazing. How are you, Queen Renee?
Oh my goodness. You know, today, this morning with the Praying It Forward room, it has truly been incredible. It really has been incredible. We've been talking about relationships, and we was just listening to that phenomenal Miss Carrie who was pouring in, but you kick-started us off.
Unknown caller.
I just love how they call us when we on live.
Of course. Of course.
Oh, well, first I want to say you look fabulous. Let's just start there. You look absolutely fabulous, Miss Tanya. You know, not only we're grateful for everything that you do in the community, also what you're doing over there in the DMV area, and you're a phenomenal mother, and you just trailblazing, and every day you keep on coming into yourself, into your own. And I think that has a lot to do with those relationships as well, right? You know, we were talking about relationships with God, relationships with ourselves, as well as relationships with other people. And I know later on we're going to have a special guest, but go ahead on and share with everyone, Tanya, you know, just your summarization in regard to what you were able to pour into us this morning in the Clubhouse, Beauty.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Renee, for such an amazing opportunity. And you look also fabulous over there in the Atlanta area.
Thanks to Miss Karen Geddes, okay?
Okay.
House of KG Fashion. That's right. Thanks to Miss Karen.
Yes, that's absolutely beautiful. You know, this morning we focused on relationship, and it's so, so important that we have strong relationship. Now, these relationship can be one with Christ and definitely with ourselves, and also a personal relationship. Okay, these relationships are going to help us overall in life. And you know, the GW3 Society really dived in it this morning because we got so many incredible shares from our queens, and our queens really expressed how and the meaning of relationship. We dived into relationship with Christ, personal and ourselves, but we also highlighted some tips, great tips on maintaining these healthy relationships so we can impact the entire world. Take it away, Renee.
You're absolutely correct. And I think what it has to start with is with love. You know, no matter where we are in life and no matter what it is that we're doing from day to day, we have to first learn to love ourselves in order for us to take on any type of real relationship with, you know, not only with God, but also with our family members, but even with someone that we're even searching for, you know, for companionship and in love as well. So, you know, I think also, Tanya, today was a powerful morning. It was impacted with so many great nuggets that we were able to take away. And, you know, I think where we are in life right now, the stronger bond that we are building, as well as cultivating and embracing, I feel as if we are able to just harness all of that when we're able to truly say, I love myself, I love my God, and I love the fact that I have gratitude for everything in our lives. Everything in our lives. You know, we are now officially live on GW3 Live. And you know what is so great as we're seeing people scrolling up and down on Facebook, or you're right there in YouTube, or you're right there in the clubhouse, guys. We want you to understand the importance. Today's Friday. We're going to talk about those relationships. And also, we're going to talk about the relationships that's probably even caused us a little pain. That's caused a little pain. And we already know the right word or the true word when it comes down to that is forgiveness, right? Forgiveness. And, one of the things I realized, even when you think about forgiveness, is more about the forgiveness that you have for yourself first. So, therefore, you can also forgive others for either the harm that they've done or even them attempting to harm you. Because we know that's all about the mindset as well, Tanya. So share with us as well some of the pointers that you were able to take away from when Carrie poured into our conversation. Oh my goodness, she was dropping the mics. She was dropping the mic in every way possible.
Queen Carrie had such an incredible segment. Queen Carrie she's such a God-given woman. And, with her segment, she highlighted the importance of our relationship. She started from the scripture, and that's our base of relationship. If we can lean on the word, this will be a guide for us throughout our life. Queen Carrie also poured into what type of relationships we're having in our community. And it starts from ourselves, from loving ourselves. And so we can also pour into others, because we have to take a look at ourselves, right? Making sure that we're having a relationship personally so we can pour into others. And she also highlighted the community that we are part of. What type of community are we a part of? The GW3 Society has taught us so much, and thanks to you, Renee, for creating such an incredible society so we can be among phenomenal women and phenomenal men that can also pour into our life. So Queen Carrie really highlighted all these three aspects, which we are so grateful for, and we're so thankful. And we did take some incredible notes. Thank you, Renee.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, we want to say thanks to God. How about that? Thanks for God just using us as vessels to keep on helping us to connect and impact the lives of so many others. I know we have a full stage right there in the clubhouse, and I just want to recognize some of those that's on the stage. I know Miss Blessing kick-started us off. Good morning, Miss Blessing, alongside with Miss Ada. Oh my goodness. Miss Ada also dropped the mic. We got Miss V all the way from the West Coast joined us, alongside with Miss Karen Geddes. That's right, House of Fashion is here with us. Mariah, I want to call her Mariah, but Malika Starr is in the house. We see Renee Hayes is also in the house with us, as well as so many others. We have people that's in the Curious Lounge, the Listening Lounge, and we've already been able to impact the lives of many just for this week alone. But as we're closing out this Friday, oh my goodness, I'm super excited. I want to go ahead on and hear the voice of Miss Carrie. And then I want to hear also some of the other voices. Maybe they want to pour into Miss Carrie topic. Miss Carrie, are you there, Miss Carrie? Because we want to hear your voice this morning. Are you there? All right. Miss Carrie is on the clubhouse right now. Now, Carrie, you truly have just you've been exploding in all of your gifts. Not only you're a phenomenal mother, I know you're a grandma. I always call us the grandmas, right? But also, you are just really embodying the whole premise of being a phenomenal woman. And I think it has to be the reason why you have is because of the love that you have for yourself. But truly beautiful. Thank you for everything that you do. So pour into the viewers in regard to just what really sparked your fire this morning with your response to relationships. Please share.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Renee, for opening up the mic. This is very exciting for me. And it is the love, with the topic today being relationships with God, self, and others. The most healthy relationships that we have are full of love for yourself and the other party. And what I have found, and what actually keeps me and sustains my joy every day, is that I am convinced about the unshakable love that God has for me as his child, as his daughter, even as his favorite. And so that love that I am aware of, that he has for me, that he shows me every day, I try to eat that up and show that same love to myself and to those who are around me. None of us are as perfect as God is, but operating in the love that he gives to us, for sure, loving ourselves in the way that we accept that he loves us, and then trying to love others in that way. For me, that is a recipe for success. Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, wee! Did you not hear that? That was some spitting fire right there. You know, you come with so much confidence also, Miss Carrie. Not only confidence, but clarity, guys. Didn't you feel that? Go ahead and flash your mics if you're in the clubhouse. Flash your mics and go ahead and put some heart emojis up if you really felt that energy. Miss V, I know you're right over there. How were you? Share with us, what was it like just hearing Miss Carrie's voice just pour into you just now? Miss V, take it away.
You know, every time I hear his voice, it's very powerful. How delivers her, he does it with such inflection that you're forced to kind of pay attention to what she's saying, hanging on those words. So I just want to say, I really enjoy listening to everyone in the room speak. I really do. I enjoyed Tanya's speech this morning. I enjoyed Karen. What Karen had to say was so wonderful this morning, and I can't wait to hear from the other people in the room today. And so, keep going, Carrie. You have a beautiful way of sharing your message, and a very powerful way of sharing your message. And so I can't wait to hear more of what you have to say. I yield the mic.
Absolutely wonderful. Well, thank you so very much, Miss V, for just pouring in. And just I want to just recognize, it's important for not only us to understand relationships, it's really how we do anything, not only the relationships with ourselves, the relationships that we have cultivated, like Miss Carrie said, with God, and then also the relationship with people, whether that relates to your family members, your children, your loved ones, your friends, it's still people, so we really want to make sure that we understand the importance of first loving ourselves. Loving ourselves, because if you don't love yourself, it's going to be really hard to have a real good quality relationship with someone else. I know we're looking forward to having this deep dive conversation with one of our renowned authors who have written a book in regarding to relationships. And before he joins us, I want us to ask a couple of more questions, just even within our conversation, Tanya. In your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenges you think that people face, not only with their relationships, but also how they overcome them? What do you think?
Such a great question, Renee. Relationship is not just getting together, right? I think one of the biggest challenges that individuals face is that it's not maintained, okay? It's like we're not bringing enough sometimes to the relationships, right? And then sometimes we over expect, right? Our expectations are pretty high, but we also, in relationship, we also have to start by being the example, loving ourselves and pouring into a relationship. Relationships should be maintained, right? So we have to make sure that the same way we continue with, let's use our education, right? Some of us, we do continuing education, or we courses to college abreast. So that's the same thing we have to do with relationships. So I think most relationships struggle because, if some of them do, it's because that we're not pouring more or spending time. Because now we're in a busy world, right? Sometimes we're so busy, we're like, oh, yes, I'm in a relationship. We have to remember that we have to check in on our relationships continuously, whether it be family, and definitely we're checking in every morning with our Heavenly Father, but we also have to check in. So we have to check in, and we also have to maintain these relationships in order to have healthy relationships.
I love how you responded to that, Tanya. What I realized also, we're in this whole pivot of just life right now, right? We have already been able to, I'll say this, it's been a blessing having the whole pandemic to happen. And then, of course, we've had some learning curves throughout that step in stone in our lives. But look what has happened. We've gotten some richer relationships. I've had the opportunity of not only connecting with you, but meeting you in person as well. And, think about this, even like within our GW3 Global Society, the reason why we have the whole club now is because of the great relationships that we've been able to cultivate over the time. And what people don't realize, it takes work as well. You can't just say I'm your friend and then don't really understand the true definition to that, right? Showing up, not just when you want something, checking up on each other, pouring into each other, just letting everybody know how much we love you and care about you. And that's something that's important too along this journey. Well, you know what, Tanya? I'm so excited. We are looking forward to this renowned author to be with us. We had the pleasure of hearing his voice on yesterday and talking about dropping the mic. And it was just that connection automatically. And sometimes it's just how life is. When you find the right energy, you make things happen. And that's what we're doing today. Not only are we being joined by the renowned author, Mr. Gerald, Dr. Gerald Hightower, but we are also grateful that Dr. Gerald Hightower has really put it all in position in regarding to the whole relationship thing. You know why? Because he's an author as well. He's written a book about it. And so we're so delighted to welcome the man himself, Mr. Gerald Hightower. Mr. Gerald Hightower, how are you doing? You're on mute. You want to unmute, Mr. Gerald?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
you.
All
right. Wow, it is so good to be here with you, Renee. Grand rising to you, and good morning to you as well, Miss Tanya. Facebook was trying not to let me be great, but guess what? Facebook cannot stop greatness.
I know that's right. We always know you got to go through somewhat of a storm. That lets you know something's wanting to pull you back. You have to really push forward even more.
Absolutely.
So it's great seeing you this morning. I know you were able to wake up early this morning with your morning regimen as well. And I know you love to pray it forward. We're still in the praying it forward room right now, Gerald, and you are Dr. Hightower, and you had the opportunity of joining us on yesterday. So thank you for being a blessing to us. And right afterwards, we're like, let's get into this conversation. So guys, if you're in the clubhouse right now, make sure you click on that link at the top so you can absolutely view us. We're live on YouTube. We're also live on Facebook. And of course, we're going to continue on with our voices right there in the clubhouse where we first met. So awesome. Dr. Hightower, you have not only been able to appreciate relationships and understanding others in their relationships, but why you wanted to find this as a way to bring about healing relationships by writing your book?
Wow, that's a great question, Renee. First and foremost, we tend to, from our childhood, we tend to want something that we haven't seen or that we haven't experienced, right? So if you haven't had good examples in front of you, you really almost fantasize of thinking about what does that healthy love relationship look like. So of course, my parents were divorced when I was very young. I was 6 and my sister was 4 when my parents divorced. And it wasn't until we see Cliff and Clara Huxtable, it wasn't until we began to see that on the Cosby Show that we really had a realistic, almost a tangible view of what a healthy love relationship looks like between husband and wife from an African-American perspective, right? But I realized all my life I was really desiring to have that. Even when I was young, 11, 12 years old, I was reading love novels and romance novels, even when I was 11, 12 years old. And so coming up into growing up into pastoral ministry, so every leader, you find your niche, and I found my niche was relationships. I didn't choose it, because I didn't think that I had a lot of great success in relationships. But even though I didn't choose it, I was chosen for it. And every time I would sit down and write, I would write something regarding relationships, either from a bad experience that I learned from, or writing about a good experience that I wanted to have. And so that's really where it came from, Renee. It really started when I was real young. And I found all through high school, my friends would always come to me for relationship advice. And interestingly, their girlfriends would come to me for relationship advice. So sometimes I got kind of in trouble there because the girlfriends were coming and saying, I don't know how to handle your friend. He's crazy. How can I handle him? And I said, well, hey, listen, and then they're coming to me like, hey, man, man, she's crazy, man. What do I do about that? And so I was really giving advice on both sides, even when I was in high school.
I really love that. You are a genius. Talking about 12 years of age, handling those kind of conversations, already understanding that you were being used at an early age to identify something greater than you. 12 years of age. Tanya, I was still playing jacks when I was 12 years old. I wasn't thinking about no relationships at all. I really wasn't. I want to ask this question to you because, as we've been talking about, that whole emotions that women experience alongside with men. And, yesterday I referenced the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Yes.
I didn't realize what everything was happening to me during my marriage, because actually I picked up that book during my marriage so I can really understand what was happening in that moment of time. I want to ask this question to you because, there's a role in communication, especially when it comes down to that emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. How does that play, in building not only stronger relationships, but healthier quality being able to have healthier quality relationships when you talk about that whole emotional intelligence?
Emotional intelligence. Wow. So the emotions, of course, is a part of the soul. Our soul consists of our mind, our will, and our emotions. And so a lot of us just really got to emotional intelligence really is about emotional nakedness and your willingness to be vulnerable, your willingness to be emotionally naked with your partner. So a lot of us as men, we weren't taught that, Renee. We were not taught to address or express our emotions. We were taught to suppress our emotions. So I'm a former football player. I played football, Pop Warner, and played all through high school. And you get hurt and they say, hey, suck it up, man up. And I always tell this funny story, Renee, Miss Tanya, I always tell this funny story. I was 12 years old playing Pop Warner football. I broke my ankle and my dad is rushing me to the hospital, rushing me to Kaiser Hospital in Hollywood on Sunset. Shout out to Kaiser. And he's rushing me to the hospital. And this is what he's telling his 12-year-old son. It's going to be okay, son. It's going to be okay. Stop crying. Stop crying. Man up now. Man up. This is what he's telling his 12-year-old son. My ankle was broken. It was a really bad break, too. It was not just a slight fracture. It was a real bad break. I mean, my foot was kind of turned around. It was almost looking like Gumby, my toes almost looking at me, And my dad, because this is all that he knows, and this is how he was raised, he's saying to his 12-year-old son, man up, stop crying at 12. And so we are conditioned, most of us men, especially those of us who are of the X generation, such as myself, the baby boomer generation for sure, and even a lot of the millennials and the Z generation. We were not taught that it was okay for us to express our emotions. So a lot of men lack emotional intelligence because they never had a safe place to express them or learn how to communicate them, or we were taught to really suppress how we feel instead of express how we feel.
Wow, that could definitely be some of the reasons that stem those miscommunications as well as the pain in relationships. And what you also really connected with my soul about, we don't realize what men have to go through versus what young girls have to go through. And that's that conversation right there. Men are taught totally different, ways of how they need to, like you say, man up.
Yeah.
Not show a tear, not cry. One of the things, let me share this with you. Please, men, it's okay to cry. It's okay to express yourself. And I'll say this also, Doctor, I know about 2 years ago when we had kicked off with the Global Women Wealth Wars, we had did, I guess, a marathon room right here on the Clubhouse app. And that's when we really connected with more men. We realized that men needed more of those heart-to-heart conversations versus the women.
Yes.
Men came out and they were able to express that they too were raped, that they too go through having that self-confidence, that they too, as they say, me too, are hurt as well. So I'm happy that you're talking about that, because that is something that we know we need to work towards building stronger relationships. And it definitely stems from just having that dialogue, not
You
being
think about,
judgmental, but showing more care. Go ahead, doctor.
yeah, I mean, Lady Renee, you think about a man who's been raped, a man who's been sexually molested. Immediately, whether people express it, communicate it or not, immediate in the minds of most will be that his sexuality is now questionable. A lot of women, and I've heard this said because I've been serving in this capacity now as a pastoral counselor for 18 years. It'll be 19 years in August. Whew, all this gray is for real.
And you
right?
look great. You look great.
Thank you. Women have told me that if a man has any type of questionable behavior regarding his sexuality in his past, that she probably would not marry him, because she doesn't want to marry a man who may have some questions about his sexuality, even if it was due to molestation or rape. She doesn't want to marry him only for him to find out somewhere down the road that he doesn't like women, but he likes men. And so it's a really unfair disadvantage. And quite frankly, it's a double standard, because women are expecting us as men to be understanding if she's been molested, if she's been raped. And most of us men who do have a high level of EQ, emotional intelligence, we understand it's like, I'm going to love this woman anyway, and I'm going to love her through that. And I'm going to make sure she understands that I'm going to earn her trust, I'm going to earn her respect, and I'm never going to put her in a position where she feels threatened or she feels triggered by what happened to her in the past. I'm going to be the one that brings love into her life and brings a level of healing and restoration into her life. And the only thing the woman has to do, of course, is make sure she's putting in that work for herself, going to coaching, getting therapy if she's still hurting and wounded from that area. So it's interesting to note that there's an expectation, or at the very least, a hope that a man will come into a woman's life and heal and restore that, or at the very least, love her in spite of. Whereas the vast majority of women are saying, I wouldn't even give him a second thought because his sexuality may be questionable.
That's terrible. That's really sad. You know, it just gave me chills when you think about that, or even when you say that, because we don't even probably really think about that, you know. And not only is it one of those, like you said, that double sword standards that you spoke about, but I think that's where we have to have more compassion.
Yes.
Have more compassion in relationships, as well as more compassion even just with ourselves, because the last thing we want to be doing is judging each other. Who are we to judge? I tell you right now, so many people have skeletons in their closets. Mine's got meat on it. I'm letting you guys know right now, okay? Don't come up here judging me. No. We're all a work in progress, right, Miss Tanya?
Right.
It's very interesting that you say that, you know, the mass majority of women, if a man has a certain history, if he has been raped or, you know, emotionally traumatized, the expectation is so high. But, you know, also women have gone through quite a bit, right? So, you know, you have women that have been traumatized when they were younger, and, you know, they go into relationships or they go into marriages and they're expecting that their spouses to be the comfort or the healing process. But I think in relationship, it goes back to relationship, we have to seek that healing either from counseling or either from any source, pastoral help. So I'm so happy that you highlighted that, you know, which I'm quite surprised that women expect that from men, or they're not, you know, willing to help with the healing process of what these men have gone through.
Yeah, Miss Tanya, the statement literally is that you will hear from many women. I won't say most and I won't say all, but the statement you will hear from many women is, Oh, he needs to get that together before he gets here. Oh, I need him to be whole before he arrives. If he's going to be in my life and he wants me to be his wife, he got to get that together. He got to fix that. That's baggage he's got to deal with. And I'm not obligated as a woman to help him deal with that baggage. Let me give everybody a revelatory love nugget on this Friday morning.
Yes.
We all have baggage.
Yes.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
Woo!
We all have baggage. Everybody.
Yes.
We all do. So this whole false notion of thinking that you're going to marry and connect with this beautiful, wonderful individual who's perfect and doesn't have any baggage. Listen, they might be hiding those bags, but they've got some baggage. All right.
Not just Louis Vuittons either. Okay. It's
no, not Louis, not Gucci,
okay.
Not Chanel, hunty. Listen,
No, hunty.
They got some Samsonite. They got some luggage from Goodwill, Walmart, Salvation Army, Skid Row.
I think the
we
key
all
is
have some baggage, Lady
make
Renee.
sure you find the right person to help you with your bags.
Unpack some of that.
Help you pack your bags, or also help you to unpack your bags as well.
Yes.
You got to find the right person for that, right?
Absolutely, 1,000%.
You know, I'm just laughing, but this is as real as it gets, you know, doctor. And, you know, that's why when we were talking on yesterday, I'm like, this is like hitting so many spots that, you know, we just really need to bring it to the forefront. So therefore we can address these, not only conversations, but just be totally transparent about it. Because transparency is the real thing. I share this with you because one of our dear friends literally was living, I would say, a dual life, not really a dual life. They were living alternative lifestyle. And eventually they decided to go in the right direction. And some people will say, well, what is the right direction? Well, let's just say they were literally dating men at one point, and then they decided to have a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, they have now 2 or 3 children from that relationship. Now, automatically, it took a strong woman to do what? To deal with those bags.
Yes.
To deal with that type of even a relationship within itself. And so that's why it's so important for us not to judge, because we never know how we are going to have to be putting ourselves in certain positions. And when you find love, you know, that's just it. Love can come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, as well as different types of I guess you would say physical, because that's all this, what this is. We just physical traits as well. So that's something that's important. And again, it starts from where? The love that you have for yourself. Right. Now, I'll ask this question. In your experiences, what are some of the most common mistakes that we make as people when it comes down to just relationships? The most common mistakes we make as people that we probably should work on not avoiding. Because I think I'm going to let you answer that question, and then also we can kind of delve into it as well. What do you think some of the most common mistakes we make?
I'll give you 3 quick ones, Lady Renee. First and foremost, that we are still dealing with soul ties. We're not really free from our ex, and it's hindering our relationship with the next. So I'm still connected to him. I'm still connected to her, right? And the connection, the soul connection, again, remember now, Miss Tanya, the soul consists of mind, will, and emotions. So this is completely absent of sexual intercourse, which is one of the biggest misnomers about the soul ties. People think, oh, we're not having sex anymore. I haven't slept with him. We've been divorced for 7 years. Well, that's cool. But are you still connected emotionally? And I'm not talking about in the co-parenting relationship, because in a co-parenting relationship, naturally, there's going to be an existing connection. You have to have that in order to co-parent. I'm talking about that we're having intimate conversations. You're still hyper concerned about who he's with. You're still hovering over her pages like a social media stalker. And those things are problematic, and they are indicative of the fact that someone is still struggling with a soul tie. So this is going to be a huge problem. If you haven't gotten free from your ex, it's going to be very difficult for you to enter into your next relationship. All right. And the second thing that's hindering us, that's problematic for relationships, is the fear factor. A lot of us are really struggling with fear because we've been betrayed, or we've watched others get betrayed. We've been cheated on, or simply that the relationship went awry. Both of us kind of grew apart in that whole thing. And so a lot of people are fearful of going into a relationship because they don't want to get hurt again in a relationship. And so the fear factor is huge. You got to overcome the fear in order to love. And let me say it like this, because there's always going to be some nervousness, some reservations for all of us on a human level, myself included. But the love that you desire to have must be greater than the fear that's coming against you. All right. And the third and final thing, Renee, I hope I'm not taking up too much time. The third and final thing that's hindering us, that's problematic in relationships, is that we are paying way too much attention to what other people think, what other people are going to say. All right. I call it OPP, other people's perspectives. You can't be down with OPP and have a relationship that's going to be healthy. You know what I mean? You down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. I mean, no, you can't be down with OPP. Other people's perspective, other people's opinions, and that includes our parents and our spiritual leaders. No, listen, I'm going to listen to you because it behooves us to take in wise counsel. But at the end of the day, if I pray concerning this person and I have peace, then it's up to me to move forward, regardless of what you think about them. I'm the only person that God is going to be holding responsible for this relationship, not you. I will take heed to the wise counsel, but at the end of the day, the two of us have to make a decision to be in a relationship, not anybody else.
I just love it. Guys, we are live. If you're in the Clubhouse, you need to be watching what we're at, because we're right here on the YouTube, we're on Instagram, I'm on Facebook as well. And oh my goodness, Dr. Hightower, you just dropped the mic on all three of those items, because when you really put things in perspective, you said it. You know, either people have fear of losing someone, realizing that person really probably not adding the right value to their core in the first place, but then they don't want to be by themselves. They don't want to be by themselves. So instead, they just want to be with whoever is right now in their life, right? Right now, man, you've heard that, or the right now woman.
Right.
Or, you know, man, I'm right now with her, okay? And it's like, right now? Yeah, just right now. But then what we do is sometimes we even block our blessings when we hold on to those people that are right now. And then you spoke about waiting for someone's approval. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you said it. You know, it's like, if it's not connecting with you, and we don't have to do one of those numbers. I remember coming to America, he had to go and get his wife, or they were bringing the wife to him. We're not in coming to America. We can make a decision. And if it doesn't work out, or if it's not something that we choose, let it be. Let it be. You know, one of the other things I'll say too, Doctor, because I've seen that we talked about this earlier regarding to hurting people, and also hurt people wind up hurting each other. Guys, if you're in a really rough relationship, let it go. Please let it go. Talk about that, Doctor, because, you know, again, that's emotions. And especially women are so wired up differently when it comes down to emotions versus men. So please talk to us about how important it is to let those things go as well.
Oh, wow. Whew. Renee, your questions are just amazing. You're making it so easy for me today. I love this. What are the steps that one needs to take? This is for men and women, but I especially want to speak to my sisters today. So, ladies, it's going to be important that you acknowledge that you really are struggling with some pain and maybe even unforgiveness. And unforgiveness is a blessing blocker. It's impossible for you to move forward. If you haven't forgiven the person of your past, it's impossible to move forward in a healthy manner toward your future. All right. So that's number one. And you may have to forgive yourself, because let's be honest, we all, not all of us, but most of us, myself included, let me confess my mess on a Friday. This Confession Friday. Listen, I overlooked the red flags and I married her anyway. Wait a minute. No, not you, Dr. G. Yeah, me, Dr. G. I married her anyway. And how I made such a terrible mistake is I made a lifetime decision while in a temporary season. I was going through the season of mourning my dad's sudden death. And I did not want to die like my dad, being all alone. So within 4 months after burying my dad and preaching his funeral, I decided I was going to get married. I'm like, oh, I can't be like this. I can't be out here like this. And so again, there's the fear factor now driving an unhealthy decision. But what we really have to do, and ladies, this is really a word of encouragement for you. You have to be willing to acknowledge the situation that you've been through. Forgive yourself for ignoring those red flags. Yeah, you slept with him and you knew he wasn't no good, but you got tired of waiting. And you know what? You were feeling some kind of way too. So you said, well, at least, being with half a man is better than being with no man at all. And no, it's not. It's better to be alone and single and at peace than it is to be a side piece. Yes, I said it. It's Friday. All right. The last thing is, ladies, on the emotional level, how do I get over this hurdle? How do I get over these things? And why do I keep attracting the same type of man? Ladies, I want to say this because you hear this, you've heard this say it, that if you keep attracting the same type of person, that's indicative of who you are. And that's not true. All right. There is some truth in it if you're accepting the same type of men, not attracting, because all of us are going to attract bad people. You're an attractive woman. Come on, brothers, you're an attractive brother. So you're going to attract some booger wolves. So of course you're going to attract some not so good people or not so good looking people. But the attraction is not the key. The acceptance is the key. Do you keep accepting the same type of person? Don't worry about attracting. But if you're accepting the same type of person, if you keep dating the same person over and over and over again, different name, different face, different time, different place, but it's the same kind of individual, well, that's problematic. And now I highly recommend that you sit down with me or someone like me, a relationship coach, a certified professional or a licensed professional who can help you walk you through those emotional issues that you're dealing with, because it's really just rooted in the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment, or the fear of betrayal. Those are called soul wounds. And from that place, if they're not healed, you're going to keep making bad relationship decisions.
Amazing. When you put it all in perspective, I'm going to go ahead on and I'm going to recap. And somebody need to put some hashtags to some of this. Lifetime decision, as you said, in a temporary season. A lifetime decision is what you made, but you were already in a temporary season. And that's most times a lot of us, right? We can't make those kind of commitments when we are already going through something in life that's a little bit more challenging. And my goodness, no side pieces here. Keep the side pieces with Popeyes. Please, let's get focused, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, I'm just loving it this morning. Absolutely loving it. Guys, make sure you know that we are live. If you're in the clubhouse, we're right here on we're right here on YouTube as well as Facebook. Let's put some messages in the chat. If you have a question for the doctor himself, Dr. Hightower, we love to pour into. I know for sure Tanya, she has a question over there for you. She's like, ooh, this is not only is it spicy on a Friday, okay? Dr. Lolita Walker would say this is so juicy. All right. So Tanya, what question you have for Dr. Hightower?
Hey, Dr. Hightower, your segment has been absolutely amazing and I've learned so much. My question is, do you think, for example, people who are attached to the emotional side of their past relationship, first, how do they overcome it? Like, okay, they're following their social media. They're knowing what's happened in their past relationship. I think that's a lot of struggle for a lot of individuals is that they haven't gotten past the emotional side of their ex.
Yes. Well, listen, how would I heal from something that keeps injuring me physically? I would do everything I can, Miss Tanya, to block that. I'm not going to let something keep injuring me over and over and over again, right? So we have to do the same thing on an emotional level, okay? Block them on all social media platforms and block them on your phone. Because what's going to happen inevitably is you're going to look at your phone and you're going to be scrolling through the social media. Let me see who he dating now. Let me see who. He don't look as good as me. You know, now you're comparing yourself with her, and what he does look better than you. Now you're going to have some self-esteem issues and like, well, I guess I wasn't good enough. And you know, now you start questioning yourself. You start questioning your self-worth and all of that. So listen, delete and block. Get rid of all the connections, because every day that you're staying connected, you're allowing yourself to get emotionally injured all over again. It's like this, Lady Renee. It's like having a really bad sore. The sore develops a scab, but you keep picking at the scab. You keep picking at the scab. How can the sore actually heal if you keep picking at the scab? That's what we're doing when we keep those connections, the pictures, the gifts, that big old ugly 5 foot tall teddy bear that you got sitting on your couch that he won for you at the state fair. Hamburger. Listen, get rid of that big old ugly teddy bear. I don't even know why Teddy Ruxpin is still sitting up in your house anyway. Listen, I'm telling you, Tanya, if a big old teddy bear sitting on my on my sofa, listen, he got to get a job. Nobody gonna be up in here sucking up air, heat, and all this stuff. He got that joke. Teddy Ruxpin either got to go or he got to get a job. All right, I'm sorry, lady.
I love it. Oh my God. Woo! You're right. You are so right. We're still.
But think about it, Lady Renee. Every time you look at the teddy bear, you're not thinking of me, the new man. You're thinking about the old man. Yeah, I remember when Aloysius won this for me at the state fair. Listen, I'm not about to be coming over your house, boo, and I'm dating you, and you still got this big old love symbol from the ex.
No.
Because I'm not going to put you in that position, Tanya. I'm not going to have pictures all over my fireplace of me and her and all these things that's reminding me of her and not reminding me of you.
But that's a sign right there. I want to ask this question because this is where it's getting really hot. You know, do you think, Dr. Hightower, that it's about a personality trait? Do you think personality traits are better in relationships versus, and if so, what would you recommend? You know, because we already know there's like 4 different types of people, right? That's 4 different styles, different kinds of people. That's what it said, right? But do you think that a personality trait have something to do with this? Because of maybe, I'm going to let you answer because I always go on, but I don't want to go on. But do you think personality traits are better off in relationships?
That's a great question, Renee. So I do believe that personality traits can play a part, but I wouldn't be reliant on that. I wouldn't depend on that because we've seen some wonderful relationships work, right? And they are completely opposite. He is an extreme introvert and she is the life of the party type of girl, right? And so I'm not of the theory of, you know, the best relationships are opposites attracting, though I wouldn't agree to that. I would not espouse that. I will say though, don't allow your preferences personality wise govern your decisions. Here's what I like to talk about. Here's a formula that God gave me to help people discover to see if we're a good fit. I call this formula COP, compatibility of purpose. At the end of the day, what's going to really drive my desire for a woman is not just how good she looks. Thank God for the looks. Yummy. But after we get past the looks and all of that wonderfulness on the outside, I've got to know who you are on the inside. What you are here on the earth to do, is it a compliment and an asset to me? And what I'm here to do on the earth, is it a compliment and an asset to you? So we're looking at compatibility, and within that formula is also suitability. Someone, of course, suit being the root word. And of course, that means, Miss Tanya, that this person may not be perfect, because none of us are, but they are a perfect fit for you. So compatibility of purpose, which includes suitability, right? I got to make sure that this person is able to fill my emotional love tank. I got to make sure through our conversations, not taking a test drive, but through our conversations, open, honest communication, right? Being emotionally naked. I got to know that we are sexually compatible. And then, of course, we have to share the same core values. Do you believe in God the way I believe in him? Maybe the church you grew up in, they clapped on the 1 and the 3. We clap on the 2 and the 4 over here. Whatever, but basic core values, do we share those? And they're not going to all be the same. But if we share most of them and we find that we're really strongly compatible, then this is a relationship that can work. Did that answer your question, Lady Renee?
Oh, yes. I feel as if that's just one of those ways of just cultivating a healthier relationship. Really, it all boils down to also getting to know your mate, getting to know, I call it setting standards, that expectancy, because that's what the room was about yesterday, the expectancy, understanding how to lay down what it is that you expect in a relationship as well, and those are some of the things that's important when you know who you are, when you know what you desire, and at the same token, what are you willing to receive and what you're willing to also give, because in any relationship it's all about the give as well as the receive. I don't like saying the give and take. It's a give and the receive, because you have to have that in order to have a harmonious relationship.
I like that.
Healthy.
Yes, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been phenomenal. I want to see right now, we got so many messages that's blowing us up. We have the clubhouse that's full of fire. We also have messages that's right here. I love how one of the ladies indicated that's terrible. No, she was talking to me going about the bags. That's what the baggage. Okay, baggage, baby. I got a storage unit. Okay, so everybody have bags. That's what she was related to that. Oh my God, that's Miss V. She had me cracking up when she said that. And Carrie just been dropping so many great messages as well. And I want to open up the door right now for those that's in the clubhouse, guys. Just give yourself the opportunity to ask the doctor himself, Mr. Hightower, if you have a question for him as we're getting ready to wrap up this particular episode with, not only is it Friday, praying it forward, but also it's all about relationships, the relationships with God, the relationship that you have with yourself, and most importantly, the relationships that you have with other people. We want to know in the clubhouse who may have a question for Mr. Hightower himself. Mr. Hightower, you can come inside the clubhouse too if you want to do that as well.
Okay, I'm going to come over there right now.
Okay. And I saw some of the mics that was flashing. Who has a question for the man himself, Mr. Hightower? Take it away.
Good morning, GW3. Renee, I love you. This is Janet. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for this platform this morning and talking about relationships. Just yesterday I was talking about relationships. But my question is, for a friend who is not happy in her relationship, but is afraid to be alone, so she stays in the relationship, how do I advise her, how do I guide her to realize that she's worthy of more? Thank you. Take it away.
That's Miss Janet Alvarado right there in Las Vegas. And as she was saying, she has a friend that apparently is in a relationship, but it's not a healthy relationship. Is that correct, Janet?
Yes.
And she would like to advise her how to either get out of the relationship, because sometimes we know what you said already. We just want somebody just to hold on to somebody, but sometimes they don't really add value to us. How can she advise that person to let the relationship go?
Wow, that's a great question. So, Miss Janet, two things. Ultimately, just like we can't allow OPP, other people's perspectives, to govern our decisions going into a relationship, we can't let that happen coming out of a relationship. So what you do as a friend, number one, be there for her and try to, as much as possible, try to refrain from giving unsolicited advice. We see our friend in pain and they know they're in pain, but they're choosing to remain in that state. So what I've practiced, and I practice this even now, is I just want to be present, right? I'm going to show up and I'm going to be there. I'm going to get on the phone and I'm going to holler, whether it's one of my guys or one of my sisters. I'm going to show up and I'm going to just be there. If you ask me for help, I will respond in kind. But what we've noticed And many of us have experienced this. People, especially, let's take it to the extreme, people that have been in abusive relationships, and you go to help them. But then that couple, they go and work it out. And now there's some acrimonious feelings toward you when all you did was show up and just be an earth angel and come and help. But now they're feeling some type of way against you because you were there. And now he's feeling negative towards you. Oh, they're just trying to break us up. And guess what? That person that's in that bad situation, they end up even drawing more closer to the person that they should be moving away from. So the best thing we can do is, number one, prayer, of course, number one, prayer, but also in addition to prayerful support, just be present as much as possible and only provide advice and counsel if they ask for it. And if they ask you for help, like they need to, like, hey, it's time to get out of here, be there for them. But other than that, they really have to come to that decision themselves. I know that sounds hurtful because it's like, oh, we got to do more than that. No, I can't. You're a grown person. I can't make you get out of an unhealthy situation. You've been there and you've been there for a while. So I have to pray for you and let you know that I love you in spite of what you're dealing with right now. I love you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to, you stupid. I can't believe you stay in that. No, no, no. That's not what we're going to do because that's not loving. What we're going to do is we're going to back up, but make sure that they know that we are present and we are here to provide support for them when they need us. That's the best we can do.
Jenny, was that helpful?
Yes, definitely. I definitely am there for my friend. We've been friends for over 30 years, and I love her to death.
You love her to life. You love her to life.
Yes, I love her to life. You're right, Renee. Oh, thank you so much. That's beautiful. I'll be there for her, support her regardless. So thank you so much. I'm not going to meddle unless it's asked for. And I'll always uplift her and let her know that she's loved and that she deserves better. Thank you, Doctor.
Amen. You're welcome. You're very welcome.
It's you, like you said, that's a real tough spot. It really is a tough spot. I'll share this quick story. We were also just like that. We were real close with one of our friends, and lo and behold, literally, we left from out of the state to go and help her because she was crying wolf. You know how you have some of those friends that cry wolf. Well, they were on this rampage of saying that they were being abused and this, that, and the other. So immediately, as friends, what you want to do? You're going to run to try to save someone. But when we got to the situation, we thought it was one way, and lo and behold, it wasn't even that situation. She was creating the drama. She was creating the mess. She was creating the ugly, and it really put us in a really bad spot. And what you said, now I learned, sometimes people make the decisions, they're adults and they're adulting. And even if you give them a roadmap of getting out of the situation, it's not going to really, it's up to them really to determine if they're going to take that trip. Now, it'll be different if they're underage, but if they are of age, they have to make the necessary step to get themselves out of those situations, because if not, you can walk right into a fire, not even knowing that you're going to be cooking, trying to save them. You're going to be burning up, and that's just unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. So thank you so very much. We got time for one more person in the clubhouse, and my goodness, we got a full house. I see Lady Jews. Now, Lady Jews is truly a person over there from the other world. She's over in the UK, and she's all about peace and healing when it comes down to relationships. Lady Jews, do you have a question for Dr. Hightower regarding relationships?
Not really.
Okay.
I saw the title of the room, and I thought I'd just come in and listen. For me, relationships works in all forms, as long as we come and behave and always think and act from a place of love and compassion and understanding and empathy. I think any form of relationships will be a great success if we all
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening and letting me share.
You are so welcome, Lady Juice. You're so welcome. And then I also see my dear friend, Mr. Renee. We got the male Mr. Renee. Mr. Renee, you want to pour in? You want to share this morning as well? It's great having you, and I had the opportunity of meeting him in person most recently as well. Renee, are you there?
Mr. Godfrey.
Yes, I am.
Yes, Mr. Godfrey.
I'm actually enjoying the conversation, listening to the doctor. Great tips, great information. And yes, Renee, it was so nice meeting you in person. You do look like a queen for real in person, so I hope everybody else gets to meet you one day.
Thank you. And you're the king that you are as well, Mr. Renee, okay? Yes. So would you like to share, Renee, because you know we look at you as with the man of wisdom as well. Great information that, of course, Mr. Hightower, Dr. Hightower was pouring into us. Is there anything that you'd like to add as we're getting ready to close out today's episode of Praying It Forward? Go ahead.
No, I think the only thing I'd like to add is the self thing is we try to love everybody else, but we are mean to ourselves by, our very behavior, what we eat, what we do, what we say to ourselves, and when we don't keep our words to ourselves. So a lot of things we don't do for ourselves, and we try to do them for other people. You can't really give what you don't have. So the self-love is unconditional, is to love yourself. It's not narcissistic. It's just like replenishing yourself, taking care of yourself so that you can have enough to give in a relationship. But it's both ways. And then to give without expectation is not a transaction. Is you just give because, that's what we do, we give. And when we love ourselves, it's automatically, we love other people as well. It's just an automatic. And when we give, it's automatic, it's going to return. They're going to give to us, they're going to return the kindness, because one of the stories I share all the time is the bees and the rattlesnake story in my presentation. How, the bee is always looking for honey, sweetness, and the rattlesnakes always out there looking for bitter leaves to create the poison. And then it uses the poison to destroy and kill. And so the best way to handle a rattlesnake in your life and your environment is to pour a lot of honey on that rattlesnake, because they can't resist honey, or they can't resist love. So if you give them enough love, eventually they'll turn around.
Wow, Renee, I told you guys, nothing but wisdom. Guys, put some hearts up in the chat for Mr. Renee Godfrey, and kill him with kindness, right? That's what we usually say, no matter what someone may do or attempt to rub us in the wrong way, we have to know how to protect our peace, protect our space, and just kill them with kindness. I usually laugh at things that try to rub me the wrong way. I go, whatever, because you got to shake it off, because you can get all wrapped up into certain situations if you don't. And so you have to make sure you stay more in control. And I love what we talked about, that whole emotional intelligence, because that's something that's really important. Back over to you, Dr. Hightower.
Yes. Renee, you can just call me Gerald. I'm really cool. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I don't need to be addressed by titles. I'm cool, but I thank you for the respect. I'm honored, and it's been a blessing to be on your platform. I'll just give one closing thought today, and I'm gonna, for those of you that are on the Clubhouse platform, I'm gonna drop my link over in the chat so that you can click on my link and schedule an appointment with me. Listen, for the month of March, up until March 31st, I am giving complimentary discovery calls. So if you have been married and divorced, or if you've been in a relationship that ended up, the breakup did not happen amicably, it really was painful, and now you're trying to figure out how to recover your heart so you can love again, listen, let me be of service to you. I want to help you get through this season so that you can actually get your heart healed, so you can be ready for the next relationship and not drag unnecessary baggage into the relationship, right? And somebody looks at your bag and say, hey, wait a minute. No, I was going to help you with a couple of them bags, but you got too many bags. You're going to have to ship some of that out. You're going to have to call FedEx or UPS. All right. Let me help you unpack some of those bags so you're not carrying unnecessary baggage. All right. And so I'm going to make my link available. I'll make my link available here on Facebook as well. And the last closing nugget I'll give you for this today is this, that a healthy relationship, healthy love relationship begins with a healthy you. So that means you have to make sure that you are really relationship ready. A lot of us feel very strongly that we're ready for a relationship. And just because you're single doesn't mean that you're ready. Because if you have some unaddressed issues, if you still have some soul wounds, the soul wounds of betrayal and being abandoned and being rejected, if those things are still strong and prevalent in you, then those are key indicators that you know what, I need to put a little work in before I get into a relationship. Singleness does not equate to readiness. You have to put in the work to make sure you're love and relationship ready. All right. This is Dr. G. Hightower, the entanglement coach. I specialize in helping people get free from soul ties, entanglements, helping you to get your soul whole so you are prepared for your soul mate. Lady Renee, it's been an honor to be on your platform today. Miss Tanya, thank you for being here as well. Renee, I didn't wear all my little red stuff, but I do have my little splash of red so I can match you and Miss Tanya. You know, I have my little red splash thing going on so I can be a good, compliment to the lovely ladies in red today.
Well, you have not only been a great compliment, it has been such an important and as well as an informative presentation today. We just want to thank you for your time. And you know what? We just honor you and just want to keep you, uplifted as well, because as you said, you're in that moment of also reconnecting, identifying and looking for your love as well. And we know it's a journey for us all. So yes, we just want to keep you in our prayers, in our praying it forward room. And we just want to thank you so very much. And truly want to make sure we get a copy of that book as well. And you know what? I love the fact that you're right here in Georgia, right here with Renee and myself, because Renee is here in Georgia as well. So
awesome.
We have to do something really, really soon.
Yes, I actually follow Renee. I follow Mr. Godfrey. I've been following him on Clubhouse for a while. He doesn't know who I am, but I've been following him for a while. He's a man of great wisdom. And that smooth little poem that he gave, that little Love Jones poem right there at the end. Yeah, smooth.
I love it. We just didn't have the song, right? Well, guys, we just want to thank you guys so much for joining. And thank you again, Dr. Hightower, Gerald Hightower, for being here with us.
Yes,
Miss Tanya, Miss Tanya, what an incredible segment we had today. Oh my goodness. I'm just excited that we have the opportunity to close out this week, not only with a powerful interview with Mr. Dr. Gerald Hightower, but also being able to connect with all of those souls right there in the Clubhouse, YouTube, as well as Facebook. How are you feeling over there, superstar?
Absolutely amazing. This has been an incredible morning, Renee. Praying it forward with relationships. We dived into it in so many different ways, from the Heavenly Father above to our personal relationship, and also, most importantly, loving ourselves, right? Yes. So this has been such an amazing interview with Dr. Hightower, which I learned so much from, and I'm sure Clubhouse, the individuals that are on stage and in audience, actually learned a whole lot. So this has been absolutely an amazing morning.
Absolutely, it has been. And what we're going to do now, guys, we're going to return right back to the Clubhouse so we can close out this week with GW3, praying it forward on this incredible Friday afternoon. No matter where you may be in this world today, we just want you to know that you are loved. And one of the greatest things that we always say, make sure you keep your shoulders back and that head up. It's time for you to go blaze the universe. Why? Because the world needs another game changer, and that game changer is you. So thank you so very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the other side of your greatness.